I never imagined my wedding day would feel this quiet. The bridal suite smells of roses and hairspray, yet all I hear is the clock ticking above the mirror. My reflection looks perfect. Flawless makeup, silk gown flowing like liquid light, but my chest feels hollow. My phone lies on the vanity, face up, screen dark. I've checked it a dozen times in the last half hour. Still no message from Mom. None from Dad. Nothing from my brother, either. They said they'd come if they could. Those were my mother's exact words. She said it so casually that I almost believed her. Now, as I stare at the empty notification bar, I know she never meant to try. A soft knock at the door startles me. "It's time," says the planner, her tone gentle, like she's afraid I might shatter. I nod, clutching my bouquet so tightly the stems dig into my palm. Through the glass doors, I see the aisle lined with guests and flowers, a perfect scene I built without the people who raised me. When the doors open, everyone stands. I take one step forward, then another. The music swells around me, sweet and heavy. And then I see them, 3 empty seats in the front row, reserved with tiny gold cards that read *family. The sight hits me harder than I expected. I keep walking anyway. Whispers ripple through the crowd, but I fix my eyes on Ethan, waiting at the altar. His smile steadies me, a small piece of warmth in a room that feels colder by the second. When I reach him, he takes my hands in his and whispers, "I've got you." 3 words strong enough to keep me from falling apart. We say our vows, exchange rings, and the officiant pronounces us husband and wife. Everyone claps. Cameras flash. For a heartbeat, I forget the empty chairs behind me. Then the applause fades, and the ache returns. During the reception, laughter fills the air, and glasses clink. Ethan's mother hugs me, her perfume soft and comforting. "You're part of the family now, darling," she says, and I nearly cry. It shouldn't feel so strange to be wanted. Later, while the band plays our first song, I step outside for air. The vineyard glows under a lavender sky. I can see the guests dancing through the glass windows, people celebrating with me, not for me. My phone buzzes. I snatch it up instinctively, but it's only a spam notification. Not a word from them. I remember the day I told my parents I was getting married. Dad barely looked up from his newspaper. "Is he stable?" was all he asked. Mom didn't even ask when the wedding was. She just said, "You always rush into things, Caroline." They talked about my brother for the rest of dinner, his promotion, his new house, his perfect life. My engagement barely lasted a minute in their conversation. Ethan joins me on the terrace, 2 champagne glasses in hand. "They're missing out," he says softly. "Let them." I smile weakly. It shouldn't be this easy for them to miss me. He sets the glasses down and takes my face in his hands. "You've spent your whole life chasing their approval. Maybe it's time to stop running after people who like pretending you're invisible." His words hit deeper than he knows. My parents raised me to believe love was something to earn. Every grade, every award, every achievement, I thought each one would finally make them proud. But they were never watching. Back inside, my friends pull me into a dance circle, laughter drowning out my thoughts. For a while, I let it. When the night ends, we drive away under a rain of sparklers, Ethan's hand warm around mine. I wave through the car window, smiling for the guests, but my chest still aches. Somewhere between the laughter and the silence, a decision takes root. If my family couldn't see my worth when I was standing in front of them in a wedding gown, I'd make sure the world saw it without them. One day, they'll wish they hadn't looked away. And when that day comes, I won't need them to see me. I'll already be shining too bright to ignore. 2 years passed before I saw my parents again. After the wedding, I buried myself in work. Ethan and I built a small media company from our apartment's spare bedroom. What began as weekend projects turned into contracts, then clients, then an office with my name on the glass door. Every late night and missed holiday was a brick in the wall between me and the version of myself that used to beg for attention. I stopped waiting for validation. I became my own proof. When Crescent Studios signed its first $1 million campaign, Ethan popped champagne. "You did it," he said, grinning. But it wasn't pride that hit me, it was clarity. My parents hadn't called for 2 years, but I was doing fine. Better than fine. I was thriving without them. 3 months later, I walked into a dealership and saw it. The Porsche Taycan, metallic gray. Sleek, elegant, untouchable. The kind of car people notice before they see the person driving it. I signed the papers that afternoon. It wasn't about showing off. It was a symbol. My independence, sculpted in steel and speed. I posted a single picture of it online with the caption, *dreams earned, not inherited. For 3 days, silence. Then, the phone rang. Caroline, sweetheart. My mother's voice came through the line, too cheerful, too rehearsed. It's been so long. How are you? Behind her words, I heard something unfamiliar. Agency. Your father and I were just talking about how we should all have dinner soon. My stomach tightened. 2 years of nothing, and now they wanted dinner. Sure, I said. Your place. When I pulled into their driveway a week later, the Porsche glistened under the sun like a spotlight on their hypocrisy. Curtains twitched. By the time I stepped out, my father was already on the porch, wearing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. You've done well for yourself, he said. Not hello. Not we missed you. Just an assessment. Inside, everything was the same. The same furniture, the same framed photos of my brother's perfect family. My picture still wasn't on the wall. Mom busied herself with tea, pretending we were close. It's wonderful to see you, darling, she said. We've been following your business. You must be doing so well. I smiled politely. Well enough. The conversation danced around small talk until my father finally cleared his throat. Actually, he said, we wanted to discuss something important. Your brother's had a tough year. His farm is struggling, and we've been helping as much as we can, but, well, things are tight. There it was, the real reason. Mom leaned in, her tone softening into the same manipulative gentleness I remembered from childhood. You've been so successful, honey. Maybe you could help Logan, just until things stabilize. We're family. The word family echoed in the air, sharp and sour. I looked between them, my pulse steady. Family, I repeated quietly. That's an interesting word. You mean the same family that didn't show up to my wedding? Mom's hand froze halfway to her cup. Dad's expression hardened. That's in the past, he said curtly. You shouldn't hold grudges. I laughed softly, a sound that startled even me. It's funny how the past only matters when it's convenient for you. They stared, waiting for me to soften like I always used to. I didn't. I worked for everything I have, I said. Every late night, every setback, every victory, you weren't there for any of it. And now you want to benefit from it. My mother's eyes glistened. We're just asking for a little help. Think of your nieces. I interrupted. And I'll make sure they learn how to stand on their own 2 feet someday, so they never have to beg for approval like I did. The silence that followed was heavy, suffocating. I stood, setting my untouched teacup down gently. You missed your chance to be part of my life. You don't get to join in at the highlight reel. Dad's jaw clenched. You've changed, he muttered. Yes, I said, heading for the door. That was the point. Outside, the Porsche waited, gleaming like a reward for every lonely night that brought me here. As I slid behind the wheel, I caught their reflections in the rearview mirror, 2 people who'd finally realized the daughter they ignored no longer needed them. The engine roared to life, drowning out everything else. For the first time in years, I didn't feel anger. Just peace. Cold, clean peace. They wanted my success to save them. They'll soon learn it was built to protect me. And this was only the beginning. 3 weeks passed after that confrontation, and I didn't hear from my parents. I thought it was over, until my phone lit up with a message from my brother. Family meeting tomorrow. It's urgent. I should have ignored it. But curiosity is a powerful thing. The next day, I drove the Porsche to my childhood home, the same driveway where I once practiced riding a bike, waiting for my father to look up from his newspaper. He never did then. I doubted he would now. When I stepped inside, the air was thick with tension. My mother looked older. My father's confidence had cracked around the edges. Logan sat at the table, papers spread out like battle plans. We're in trouble, he said without preamble. The firm's failing. The mortgage is behind. We need your help. I looked from one face to another, people who had been absent for every triumph, every heartbreak, every milestone. Now they needed me. You built that firm, I said. You built your life without me. Why change that now? Dad sighed, frustration simmering under his voice. You're being dramatic. You have the resources to fix this for everyone. It's time you gave back to your family. Family. That word again. A word they used like a key to unlock the doors they'd slammed in my face for years. I sat down slowly, crossing my legs, keeping my voice calm. You're asking for money. We're asking for support, Mom said quickly. You have so much. We're not talking about charity, just a loan. Right, I said, leaning forward. The same kind of support you gave me. When you skipped my wedding. When you couldn't be bothered to send a single message after my company launch. Their silence said everything. I reached into my bag and pulled out a folder. Logan's eyes brightened, thinking it was a check. I laid the papers on the table. This is the announcement for the Horizon Foundation, I said evenly. It launches next week, $10 million dedicated to supporting young women in the arts. Girls who were told they weren't enough. Mom's lips parted. You're giving it away. Yes, I said. To people who actually show up. Dad's face flushed red. That's a waste, he snapped. You'd rather help strangers than your own blood. Strangers, I said softly. They're more family to me than you've ever been. Logan slammed his palm on the table. This is ridiculous, Caroline. You owe us. That word, ***, snapped something in me. I owe you nothing, I said. You didn't build me. You ignored me. Every ounce of my success came from surviving your neglect. For a long moment, no one spoke. The only sound was the slow tick of the dining room clock, the same one that had marked every silent dinner of my childhood. I gathered my folder and stood. The foundation paperwork is already filed. The funds are secured. You can't touch any of it. Mom's eyes filled with tears. Please, sweetheart. We're family. I met her gaze, steady and cold. Then you should have acted like it when it mattered. When I left the house, my father called after me, his voice breaking for the first time in my life. You'll regret this. I didn't look back. Months passed. The foundation's launch made headlines. Interviews. Magazine covers. Self-made CEO turns neglect into empowerment. The phrase followed me everywhere. My inbox overflowed with stories from women who saw themselves in me, girls who'd been overlooked, dismissed, underestimated. My story had become their permission to rise. Meanwhile, my parents' world collapsed quietly. Logan's firm went under. The house went up for sale. Word spread fast in our old community, but I didn't gloat. Revenge, I learned, doesn't always need noise. Sometimes silence is the sharpest blade. One afternoon, I received a letter in the mail. The handwriting stopped me cold. My mother's cursive. Inside was a single line. * we should have been there. ***. No apology. No excuses. Just that. I placed the letter in my drawer, not out of anger, but closure. They finally saw the truth. Too late to matter. A year later, I stood on a stage accepting an award for leadership in philanthropy. Cameras flashed. The crowd applauded. In the front row sat Ethan, pride shining in his eyes. And beside him were girls from the foundation, young women whose lives had changed because I refused to stay invisible. When the applause quieted, I leaned into the microphone. For a long time, I believed success was about proving people wrong, I said. But it's not. It's about proving yourself right. The crowd rose to their feet. The sound was thunderous, but I felt calm, peaceful, even. Later that night, as I drove home, the city lights reflected off the hood of the Porsche. I thought about my parents, about the emptiness that used to live where their approval should have been. It wasn't there anymore. In its place was something better, self-respect. They taught me what love isn't. And because of that, I finally understood what it is. Revenge brought me peace. Forgiveness brought me freedom. And now, I was finally home.